Okay. Hello guys. Welcome back to my Flows journey. And yeah, in this video we'll learn about we'll learn or okay, we'll read a book which is this Siddhartha, right? And yeah, we'll learn a lot about this book and we'll read our next chapter or we'll continue from where we left yesterday. And yeah, this book is absolutely gold and there are a lot of learnings from that book so that you can apply in your life. I really learned a lot of things from that book. So yeah, I will be reading that book, and this is my habit. So record myself during reading so that I can also maintain what I read, and also uh, if I wanted to like give some summary about chapters or anything else, then yeah, it will be a very good platform for me. Yeah, your English pronunciation is improving, right? Yeah. I need to practice that exercise again, bro. Why did you left it? Today it's gonna be 100%. Fuck it. Okay. Okay. So yesterday we left it. Today we will hear the teaching from his mouth, said Govinda. So okay. I want to collect arms and do them as recognize him solely by the perfection of his calm, by the quietness of his appearance, in which there was no searching, no desire, no imitation, no effort to be seen, only light and peace. Today we will hear the teachings from his mouth, said Govinda. Okay. Siddhartha did not answer. He felt little curiosity. He felt little curiosity for the teachings. He did not believe that they would teach him anything new, but he had just as Govinda just it's like it's raining very heavily right outside. Just as Govinda had heard the contents of this Buddha's teaching again and again, though these reports only represented second or third hand information. But attentively he looked at Gautama's head, his shoulders, his feet, his quite dangling hand, dangling hand, dangling hand. That is loosely swinging, hanging down freely. I have to take out my sharpener also. Hanging freely. And it seemed to him as if every joint of every finger of his hand was of these teachings spoke, breathed, exuded the fragrance of truth. This man, this Buddha, was truly a limb down to the tip of his last finger. This man was holy. Had Siddhartha venerated. Never before had Siddhartha venerated a person so much. Never before had he loved a person as much as this one. Okay, venerated means respected, deeply respected. They both followed the Buddha until they reached the town and then returned in silence for for they themselves and intended to abstain from food on this day. Abstain, think, leave. Similar to leave or like don't eat anything. Avoid, yeah. Abstain means avoid something. to refrain from doing something, refrain from food on this day, refrain or like avoid. They saw Gautama returning. What he ate could not even have satisfied a bird's appetite, and they saw him retiring into the shade of the mango tree. They saw him retiring into the shade of the mango trees. But in the evening, when the heat abated and everyone in the camp started to bustle about, they heard the Buddha voice. Abated, bustle, abated. To reduce, okay, let's to decrease, started to bustle, to steerly, move briskly and often ostentatiously, move briskly and often ostentatiously. It can also mean to do things in a hurried and busy way. Move briskly. Thus, and it too was perfect, was of perfect calmness, was full of peace. Gautama taught the teachings of suffering, of the origin of suffering, of the way to release suffering. Calmly and clearly, this quiet speech flowed on. Suffering was life. Teachings of suffering, the origin of suffering, and the way to relieve. And the suffering was life. Full of suffering was the world, but salvation from suffering had been found. Salvation from suffering had been found. Salvation, preservation, or they try to sell it to us as economic salvation. Preservation, saved from danger or loss. Okay, uh, being way off. Could be obtained by him who walked the path of the Buddha with a soft yet firm voice. The exalted one spoke. Exalted means high noble person, high rank. One spoke toward the four main doctrines, toward the eightfold path. Patiently he went. Doctrines. What a doctrine? DOCTRINE. Doctrine. Benign. I think I need to zoom that little bit. Belief or set of beliefs held and taught by a church, political party, or other groups' teachings. Set of beliefs. Let's drink some water. Okay, patiently he went along the usual path of his teachings, of the examples, of the repetitions. Brightly and quietly his voice hovered over the listeners like a light, like a starry sky. Starry, starry, benign, lit by the stars, shining like this. Starry means lit by stars. Okay, night had already fallen when the Buddha ended his speech. Many pilgrims stepped forward and asked to be accepted into the community, sought refuge in the teachings. And Gautama accepted them, saying, "You have heard the teaching well, it has come to you well, thus join us and walk in holiness, to put an end to all suffering." Behold, then Govinda, the shy one, also stepped forward and spoke. "I also take my refuge in the exalted one and his teachings." And he asked to be accepted into the community of the disciples and was accepted. Right afterwards, when the Buddha had retired for the night, Govinda turned to the Siddhartha and spoke eagerly. "Siddhartha, it is not my place to scold you. We have both heard the exalted one. We have both perceived the teachings. Govinda has heard the teachings. He has taken refuge in it. But you, my honored friend, don't you also want to walk the path of salvation? Okay, free from any danger, free from. mm, Okay, why do you hesitate? Why do you want to wait longer? Okay, Siddhartha is very Jiddi. You know, Jiddi, stubborn. Yeah, Siddhartha is very stubborn. He asks us. He asks a lot of questions to know things better. Right. Siddhartha awakened as if he had been asleep when he heard Govinda's voice. For a long time, he looked into the Govinda's face. Then he spoke quietly in a voice without mockery. "Govinda, my friend, now you have taken this step. You have chosen this path. Always, oh, Govinda, you have been my friend. You have always walked one step behind me. Often I thought, want Govinda for once. I have thought, want Govinda for once also take a step by myself out of his own soul. Behold, now you have turned into men and are choosing your path for yourself. I wish that you would follow it roots and, oh my friend, that you shall find salvation." Siddhartha is like crazy guy. Mm, one step, uh, one step ahead always. Govinda, not completely understanding it yet, repeated his question in an impatient one. "Speak up, I beg you, my dear. Tell me, since it could not be any other way, that you also my love, you're my learned, learned friend, learned friend, my name. What is learned friend? Another lawyer or barrister. Learned friend was a polite expression used primarily in legal contexts. Okay, you are my learned friend. Will take your refuge with the exalted Buddha. Will take your refuge with the exalted Buddha. Used primarily in legal contexts, particularly among lawyers. It's referred to another lawyer or barrister and is often used in British court as a court dispute or treatise colleagues. Especially opponents. The phrase implies respect for the party's legal knowledge and qualification, and formal writing it can also denote someone of higher rank or authority. Legal contexts. Okay. Can also higher. position. Siddhartha placed his hand on Govinda's shoulder. You failed to hear my good wish for you. Oh, Govinda, I am repeating it. I wish that you would go this path towards and that you shall find salvation. In this moment, Govinda realized that his friend had left him and he started to weep. Siddhartha, he lamented. Lamented, a conventional way of describing someone who has died or something has ceased to exist. Feel sad about. People feel sad about. Siddhartha spoke to him kindly. Siddhartha spoke to him kindly. Don't forget, Govinda, that you are now one of the Samanas of the Buddha. You have renounced your home and your parents, your birth and possessions, renounce your free will, renounce all friendships. Formally declares abandonment. And free will, renounce all friendship. This is what the teaching requires. This is what the accelerated one wants. This is what you wanted for yourself. Tomorrow, Govinda, I will leave you. For a long time, the friends continued walking in the grove. For a long time, they lay there and found no ship. What is grove? A small wood or a group of trees. They lay there and found no sleep. Found no sleep. And over again, Govinda urged his friend to tell him why he would not seek refuge in Gautama's teaching. What fault did he find in them? But Siddhartha turned him away every time and said, be content, Govinda, very good. Very good are the teachings of the accelerated one. How could I find a fault in them? Very early in the morning, a follower of Buddha, one of his oldest monks, went to the garden and called those to him who had, as novices, taken their refuge in the teachings, to dress them up in the yellow robe and to instruct them in the first teaching and duties of their positions. Then Govinda broke. Okay, okay. Then Govinda broke loose, embraced once again his silent friend and left with the novices. Novices embraced once again, embraced, hold closely in arms, hug, embraced. यानी कि hug ही होगा most likely hug, cuddle, and left with the novices. And a person new to novices and left with the novices. A person who is not experienced in job situation or who is training to be monk. But Siddhartha walked through the grove, lost in thought. Then he happened to meet Gautama, the exalted one, and when he greeted him with respect, and the Buddha's glance was so full of kindness and calm, the young man summoned his courage and asked the Venerable One for permission to talk to him. Silently, the exalted one nodded his consent. quote, 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 said, use only in first and third person before the subject. Said. First, comma, third person singular. Okay. Yesterday you exhilarated when I had been privileged to hear your wondrous teachings. Together with my friend, I had come from afar to hear you, and now you, my friend, is going to stay with your people. He has taken refuge. He has taken his refuge with you, but I will again start on my pilgrimage. As you please, the venerable ones spoke politely. As you please, too bold is my speech. Too bold is my speech. Siddhartha continued, but I do not want to leave the exalted one without having honestly told him my thoughts. Does, does it please the Venerable One to listen to me for one moment longer? Silently, the Buddha nodded his approval. God said that the one thing, O most Venerable One, I have admired in your teaching, most of all, everything in your teaching is perfectly clear, is proven. You are presenting the world as a perfect chain, a chain which is never and nowhere broken, an eternal chain, the link of which are causes and effects. The link of which are causes and effects. Causality. Past is okay. Which is dependent on past and present. Never before has this been so clearly. Never before. Okay. The world as a perfect chain and eternal chain. Links of causes. Never before this has been so clearly. Never before this has been presented so irrefutably. 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 That is impossible to prove wrong. Irrefutably is irrefutable. Impossible to prove. Truly, the heart of every Brahmin has to beat stronger with love. Once he has seen the world through your teachings, once he has seen the world through your teachings, perfectly connected without gaps, clear as crystal, not depending on chance, not depending on words, whether it may be good or bad, whether living according to it would be suffering or joy, I do not wish to discuss. Possibly this is not essential, but the uniformity of the world, that everything which happens is connected, that the great and the small things are all encompassed by the same forces of time, by the same laws of causes, of coming into being, coming into being and of dying. This is what shines brightly out of your exalted teachings, O perfect one. But according to you, your very own teachings, this unity and necessary sequence of all things is nevertheless broken in one place through a small gap. This world of unity is invaded by something alien. Okay, so yeah, I have done readings for 25 minutes, and I will take a 5 minute, a short 5 minute break, and after that I will be coming again. Right? Bye bye. See you soon. Hello guys. Hello guys. So yeah, we'll start again irrefutably, right? So never before this has been so clear. Never before this has been presented so irrefutably. Means irrefutable means it's impossible to prove it. It is impossible to prove it wrong. Means it's irrefutable. Irrefutable, right? Truly, the heart of every Brahmin has to be stronger with love. Stronger with love. Once he has seen the once he has seen the world through your teachings, perfectly connected, without gaps, clear as crystal, not depending on chance, not depending on gods. Whether it may be good or bad, whether living according to it would be suffering or joy. So whether it may be good or bad, whether living according to it would be suffering or joy, I do not wish to discuss. Possibly this is not essential, but the uniformity of the world that but the uniformity of the world that everything which happens is connected. The great and the small things are all encompassed by the same forces of time, by the same law of causes of coming into being. coming into being and of time. That is what shines brightly out of your exalted teachings. Oh, perfect one. But according to your very own teachings, this unity and necessary sequence of all things is nevertheless broken in one place. Through a small gap. This world of unity is invaded by something alien. Invaded by something alien means captured or invaded means let's say the Thorgad is invaded by Akbar, right? So Haldigati enters was subjected to occupy it. Invaded means to occupy or to conquer it. Means to occupy slash conquer. Something new, something which had not been there before, which cannot be demonstrated and cannot be proven. And your teachings are about overcoming the world of salvation, but with this small gap, with a small breach. Breach means some vulnerabilities, right? Some vulnerabilities, some vulnerabilities, vulnerabilities, some vulnerabilities, right? Yeah, right. A gap in wall, a break in contravention, violation, breakings, some division, some fracture, some breach is there. Okay. The eternal and uniform law of the world is breaking apart again and becoming void. Please forgive me for expressing this objection. Quietly, Gautama had listened to him, unmoved. Now he spoke, the perfected one, with his kind, with his polite and clear words. You have heard the teachings, O son of a Brahmin, and good for you that you have thought about it thus deeply. You have found a gap in it, an error. You should think about the fall, but be warned, O seeker of knowledge, or the thicket of opinions and of arguments about words. There is nothing to opinions. They may be beautiful or ugly, smart or foolish. Everyone can support them or discard them, but the teachings you heard from me are no opinion, and their goal is not to explain the world to those who seek knowledge. They have a different goal. Their goal is salvation from suffering. This is what Gautama teaches, nothing else. Salvation from suffering. Okay. Thicket. Thicket. Thicket wearing. A dense group of bushes. A dense group. I wish that you, O exalted one, would not be angry with me, said the young man. I have not spoken to you like this to argue with you, to argue about words. You are truly right. There is little to opinions. But let me say this one more thing. I have not doubted you for a single moment. I have not doubted for a single moment. I have not doubted. I have not I have not doubted for a single moment that you are Buddha, that you have reached the goal, the highest goal toward which so many thousands of Brahmins and son of Brahmins are heading. That uh, you have found salvation from that. It had come to you in course of your own search, on your own path, through thoughts, through meditation, through realization, through enlightenment. It has not come to you by means of teachings, and thus is my thought. O exalted one, nobody will obtain salvation by means of teaching. You will not be able to convey it to anybody. You will not be able to convey to anybody, O venerable one, in words and or through teachings. What has happened to you in the hour of enlightenment, the teaching of the enlightened Buddha contain much. It teaches many to live righteously to avoid evil. But there is one thing which this with okay, you can't learn, you can't uh, learn to drive or swim just by reading manuals. You have to take action and become experienced. right? Yeah, that is all included in that. Not content, but there is one thing which these so clear, this so vulnerable teaching do not contain. They do not contain the mystery of what the exalted one has experienced for himself. Ah, his experience for himself. He alone among hundreds of thousands. This is what I have thought and realized when I have heard heard the teachings. This is why I am continuing my travel, not to seek others better teaching, for I know there are none but to depart from all teachings and all teachers and to reach my goal by myself to all die. There are none but to depart from teaching and all teachers to reach myself. But often I think of this day, auxiliary one of this hour, when my eyes behold a holy man. The Buddha eyes quietly looked to the ground, quietly in perfect equanimity. His inscrutable face was smiling. Equanimity. Calm mental state, especially after a shock or disappointment or in difficult situation. Perfect, quietly. Equanimity is state of being calm, a calm mental state. After shock or some difficult situation. This is inscrutable. Inscrutable. Meaning inscrutable, impossible to understand. Face was smiling. Oh, impossible to interpret. Inscrutable means impossible. Impossible to interpret. Read slash understand. Was smiling. I wish the venerable one spoke slowly that your thought shall not be nearer, that you shall reach the goal. But tell me, have you seen the multitude of my samans, my many brothers who have taken refuge in the teachings? And do you believe, O stranger, O samana, do you believe that it would be better for them all to abandon the teachings and to return to the life of the world of desires? Far is such a thought from my mind, far is such a thought from my mind, exclaimed Siddhartha. I wish that they shall all stay with the teachings, they shall, and that they shall reach their goal. It is not my place to judge another person's life. It's not my place. It is not my place to judge another person's life. Only for myself alone, I must decide, I must choose, I must refuse. Yeah, बहुत ज़्यादा dark है. Yeah, so there are many teachings from that chapter, bro. You should not compare yourself with others and you should not take decisions for others. Or means can't judge others and you are not in place to judge others. You have to choose and take decisions for yourself and for myself and myself alone. I must decide what I choose, right? I must refuse what I don't want in my life. Okay, yeah, to reach my goal by myself. Okay, so this is what we someone search for. O exalted one, if I were merely one of your disciples, O venerable one, I would fear that it might happen to me that only seemingly, only deceptively myself would be calm and be ready, but that in truth it would live on and grow for grow for that. I had replaced myself with the teachings, my duty to follow you, my love for you and the community of the monks. With half of a smile, with an unwavering openness and kindness, Gautama looked into the stranger's eyes and bade him to leave with a hardly noticeable gestures. Bade him to leave. Bade him. He waited messengers. Beard meaning. Bid. Greeting. Bid. You are wise, O Samana, the Venerable One spoke. You know how to talk wisely, my friend. Beware of too much wisdom. Too much wisdom. Wisdom. The quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment. The quality of being wise. The quality of being wise. The Buddha turned away, and his glance and half a smile remained forever etched in Siddhartha's memory. Forever etched, made by our subject to etching, upwards, etch, cut a pattern picture into smooth, transformed into silicon, transformers etched into silicon. The world first transformer ASIC stick into his memories, right? I have never before seen a person glance and smile, sit and walk this way. He thought, truly, I wish to be able to glance and smile, sit and walk this way too. Thus free, thus venerable, thus concealed, thus open, thus childlike and mysterious. Truly, only person who has succeeded in reaching the innermost part of his self would glance and walk this way. Well, so I also will seek to reach the innermost part of myself. Universe. I saw a man, Siddhartha thought, a single man. I saw him and Siddhartha thought, a single man before whom I would have to lower my glance. I do not want to lower my glance before any other. Not before any other. No teachings will entice me anymore. So this, since this man's teachings have not enticed me, I'm deprived by the Buddha thought. I'm deprived by the Buddha thought. I am deprived by the Buddha thought. Siddhartha, I am deprived, and even more he has given to me. He has deprived me of my friends, the one who had believed in me and now believes in him, who had been my shadow and is now Gautama's shadow. But he has given me Siddhartha. He has given me Siddhartha myself. Okay. Awakening. The next chapter is awakening, right? Okay. When Siddhartha left the grove, where the Buddha, the perfected one, stayed behind, where Govinda stayed behind, then he left that and has grown. Then he left that in his grove. His past life also stayed behind and parted from him. He pondered about this sensation which filled him completely as he was slowly walking along. He pondered deeply like diving into deep water. He let himself sink down to the ground of the sensation, down to the place where the causes lay, because to identify the causes, it seemed to him it is the very essence of thinking. And by this alone, sensation turned into realizations and are not lost but become entities and start to emit like rays of light. What is inside of them? That's to some like advanced English or advanced vocabulary is used in the sentence where I'm able to understand. Let me break it down and able to understand. Right. Firstly, here is also one, two, three word enticed. He have not enticed me. Enticed. to persuade. Entice me, not able to persuade me. When Siddhartha left the Guru, where the Buddha, where the perfect human stayed behind, where Govinda stayed behind, then he felt that in this group, his past life also stayed behind and parted from him. He pondered about this sensation, pondered. Was thinking in a random way, pondered. Think about carefully, especially before making a decision or reaching a conclusion. Think carefully before making decision. Okay, which filled him completely as he was slowly walking along. He pondered deeply, like diving into the water. He let himself sink down to the ground of the sensation, down to the place where the causes lay. Because to identify the causes, it seemed to him in the very essence of thinking. To find causes, need to think. Sensation turned into realization and not lost. Those become entities and start to emerge like rays of light. What is inside of them? Walking slowly along, walking slowly along, Siddhartha reflected. He realized that he was not a youth anymore, but had turned into man. He realized that one thing had left him. As a snake is left by its old skin, it no longer existed in him, which had accompanied him throughout his youth and used to be part of him. The wish to have teachers and to listen to teachings. Yeah. Okay. No, he's not learning anymore. He is his own to experience things. He learned a lot in his life. He teachings. Okay. He had also let the last teacher who had appeared on his path, even him, the highest and the wisest teacher, the most holy one, he had left him. Had to part with him, was not able to accept his teachings. Slowly walked along in his thoughts and asked himself, okay, but what is this? You have okay. Slowly walked along in his thoughts and asked himself, but what is this? What have you sought to learn from teachings and from teachers, and what they who had taught you much were still unable to teach you? And he found it was the self, the purpose and essence of which I sought to learn. It was the self I wanted to overcome, but I was not able to overcome it. I could only deceive it. I could only deceive it. Could only flee from it, hide from it. Truly, nothing in this world has kept my thoughts thus busy as this my very own self, this mystery of being, the mystery of being alive, of being one and being separated and isolated from all others, of being Siddhartha, the mystery of, okay, the mystery of this mystery of being alive, mystery of being separated, isolated from all other Siddhartha. क्या घटिया highlighter है शो पानी पानी डाला है इसमें तो. And there is nothing in this world I know less about than about myself. I know less about them. There is nothing in this world Having contemplated these thoughts as he walked along, he now stopped as these thoughts caught hold for him, and right thought sprang forth from them, a new thought, which was that I know nothing about myself, that Siddhartha has remained a alien and unknown to me. It stems from one cause, a single cause. I was afraid of myself. I was fleeing from myself. I searched Atma. I searched Brahman. I was willing to dissect myself, and peel off it. Stay to find the core of all beings in its unknown integer, the Atma life, the divine part, the ultimate part. But I have lost myself in the process. That I know nothing about. I know nothing about myself. Tremendous alien, unknown to me. Stems from me. Single cause. I was afraid of myself, fleeing from myself. So try to explore yourself, learning. Yes, explore yourself, what you like, dislike, and your true purpose, what you are, what you want, right? So search for yourself. Search yourself and don't. Okay, I was willing to dissect myself and peel off all its layers. I think yeah, today that is the session, right? I will leave you. Then yeah, bye bye. So today I learned a lot about teachings and myself. For example, and today what we learned is from where we started is was mouth, Govinda. I started from here, which is today it is 9:20 45 till there. So yeah, I will start from there. Okay, 24 to 42. Yeah, but 8 pages. Siddhartha didn't answer. So, in this chapter, we learned in this like session, we learned about the teachings of suffering or the teachings of the Gautama Buddha. What he said about teachings, and now our main hero of that main protagonist asked Siddhartha, asked to ask Gautama about his teachings and find a loophole, a breach in his teachings, which is what is the breach? Find a breach. There is no uniformity in the world. There is no eternal chain in this world. Nothing is connected. You have to figure it out, and also no one will learn from your teachings. Everyone have to perform their teaching, and no one will no one will be able to get the experience from yourself. No one will know what you experience. Only your teachings will be there, but no one will be able to learn from your teachings what you experience during enlightenment, during your meditations, during your exercises. So For example, if you wanted to learn to drive, learn to swim, you can't just read books. You can't just read books or just read books or just read manuals or the teachings of the most experienced or the Olympic medalist persons. But you need to take your hands dirty. You need to you need to go and make your hands dirty and take actions and get some experience so that you will be able to learn more and more and more. And okay, this is one thing that I learned from today's lecture. Also, another thing is, don't be afraid of yourself. Don't be afraid of yourself. Try to explore yourself, what you want, what you dislike, what you dislike. There are many things that you don't like, that you don't want in your life, that you don't think that this is like bad for me. Then avoid these things, abandon these things, right? Absolutely. So yeah, okay, that's it. Bye bye, see you soon. Have a breakfast. Okay, bye bye. Please like, share, and subscribe because this is a YouTube channel, but I don't give a fuck about it. Yeah, if you don't want it,